Welcome back, strange crew. You are tuned into another trip through life's deep cuts. We hope you enjoy the ride.
Keep it strange.
Three, two, one. We are live.
Liftoff.
We are here. Welcome everyone to this exclusive episode of Strange Crews.
I feel like the tables have turned. This is like if like 12-year-old Charisse could see us now.
I know. It's so true. Yeah, I know.
If 12-year-old Rick Campanelli could see us now too. It's like, wow, we're talking.
I know. I'm so excited. And Strange Crew, if listening or watching, that this has been, a little bit of a something in the making. How much that we've all grown up watching MuchMusic. It's definitely fueled our love of music. And I know when I was a kid, I wanted to be a VJ. And every time they had the searches out, I always thought that would be something really cool because I didn't make music. I cataloged music. And so I always thought it was really cool the way that you, not just you, but your team would put together information and get it out there for people. I don't think a lot of people would know a lot about the music that's out there today.
Okay, thanks. That's very sweet of you. And Charisse, thank you. I think back in the day, I was exactly like you both. I was a fan. I was passionate about the music. I loved talking about the music. And getting in when I did, it's 30 years ago. 30 years ago. This month or last month, I entered that contest to actually get my foot in the door. And the VJs back then, my colleagues and I, we just loved talking about music. It wasn't as much talking about pop culture or, personal stuff. We loved the music. We loved music videos because at a time they were so novel and it was so amazing to see what these directors were doing with these artists' songs in their catalog. So we loved being there. It was like we'd rather be there than at home doing our normal chores or whatever we were doing. I was just graduating university at the time, and I was about to step into the real world of a career. And the stars aligned for me. They really did. I won this contest. I got my foot in the door of the nation's music station, and I just parlayed that into a career, into a job because of my love for music. And I still love music. Now, my thumb may not be on the pulse of what's going on, like you have yours on the pulse, but back in the day, in the late 70s, 80s, early 90s, I was living it. And then to become a VJ, it just catapulted me, into that next stratosphere.
I'd be curious to know, we had a few people ask about how you prepared for interviews, whether they be big, small. And one of the things that I sometimes struggle with is, whether you're speaking to a Rick Campanelli or a local band or a touring band that's coming through, my ADHD brain just starts going all over the place. How were you able to hone in what you were able to sit and ask? How did you come up with your ideas? And did you always have more after the interview was done? Because that's what I find is the trouble in your life.
Always, Kate and Charisse, always have leftovers, always have more. Like artists, they always have all those songs that don't make it onto the album. Only the 12 or 13 make it, but then they've got like 20 others that, they refine and maybe add to the next album. But yeah, back in the day when we weren't doing as many of the I&Is or the Live at Much's, because those we had 60 minutes or 90 minutes to spend with an artist. But when it was just like an artist coming into the environment on any given day, it's 2 breaks, so maybe 5-6 minute breaks each, and then you're going to their video, and then you're going to a commercial break. So it's very quick. And you're right, like we got to really come up with the best of the questions. And then of course, if we had like the live environment audience in there with us, they're going to be asking questions. We're going to be taking questions from Cindy in Salmon Arm, British Columbia. Everyone gets to ask questions, and that was the beauty of Much. But when we got to come up with our own questions, Yeah, we made sure we're asking questions that the artists had never heard before. We wanted to make them original. We wanted to have fun with them. I liked keeping my interviews light and humorous and fun. I liked breaking the ice with an artist by making them laugh right away,
Yeah.
because I knew when I can make this person laugh right away, I sort of have them on my side, and it's going to make for a nice conversation. Most of the time, Charisse and Kate, we were just meeting the artists for the first time when we introduced them into the environment.
Mhm.
So it was tricky. You never got to meet them because you were so busy. Not all the time, but there were some times where you never got to go to that green room to welcome them. You know, the producers did that, and then you called them in, and then let's go. We're live. We're asking questions. Let's get right down to it. And that's precious time right there. You don't want to waste any precious
Not
seconds.
not just
You
that,
know?
you had people around you. It's not like you had a quiet space to conduct it.
No.
You had to take away all of the sensories and just be into the interview, which I always found. I liked. I was able to digest content like that.
Yeah.
And I was able to learn more and have a bigger, broad love of music because of the different way it was programmed. And I think the way that you interview definitely, whether it was funny, whether it was swinging at facts or fun
Yeah.
things, bringing
Yeah.
up older videos, like I think that was something that, whether it be Nardwar, Ed the Sock, it was something
Yeah.
that's very iconic to how people learned about music. And I think
No doubt.
bands, whether they use music videos as a source to get the word out there, they absolutely use MuchMusic VJs. Absolutely.
Back in the day, I think you're right. Yeah, I think
You
you're
know,
right. Um,
you were the influencers of that generation, right? And you were the ones who were hungry, going out and trying to learn more about gear and trying to find more about how to be a better interviewer. And I find that to be really refreshing now, like in 2024.
I think it all goes back to like having passion for the subject matter. Like we
Yeah.
loved music, we loved talking music. It was like preparing for a final exam or a test or an essay. Like, I didn't like doing that as much because I wasn't as much into the academics, but I love music, and I would have researched for hours, on Green Day, or Oasis or whoever the band was, because I was that much into that world. I'm not an artist myself, but I loved asking the artists questions, that's for sure. And you brought up Nardwar. Like Nardwar is still putting out great stuff.
Yep.
Like I just saw something with the Kid Leroy, and Nardwar will find these little nuggets that even the artists are like, where did
Like,
you
how
get
did
that?
I know.
You've seen Nardwar interviews, right? And then back in the day, like artists weren't that accessible like they are today. With social media, you can reach out to an artist and they could reply right back to you instantly. Back in the day, there wasn't that going on. So I think the VJs and the people that were interviewing these artists were were like that one person that brought the fans closer to their artists and their heroes. And I was so fortunate to be one of those people all those years ago.
One of the questions we got as well, which I thought was super, super interesting, is, and this really touches on what you just said, like celebrities are so accessible
Yeah.
this day and age, not back then. And when MuchMusic back in the day, it's like the height of 90s and 2000s pop music. Everything was very curated. It all had an image. There wasn't, tabloid culture was there, but it wasn't as invasive as it
Right.
was today. And
Right.
we're curious, out of all the interviews you've done, was there any musician where you're like, you thought was kind of misunderstood, or that was really different from the persona that they put out into the world, and you talk to them and you're like, oh man, that's not what I expected, good or bad?
Yeah. That's a great question. I really like that one. I did so much research on the bands that I was interviewing. I listened to their music. I watched their videos. By the time they came in to chat, it's almost like I know these people. Like they're my friends in a way.
Mhm.
Nobody in my mind was ever that misunderstood. I didn't get that. There would be some artists. Oh gosh. Why can't I Smooth Criminals?
Alien Ant Farm.
Name firm, yeah.
No. That you guys are good. No, there was an artist. My gosh, why can't I think of his name right now? I'm trying to think of I'm trying to sing his songs. Anyway, the response to my questions, it's like the artists really had to take their time and think of the answer before they spit it out. You know, most artists, you know, they hear an answer, boom, right away. They hear a question, there's your answer right there. But this one artist took his time, slowed down his thought process. It was a lot of dead air because these were live interviews. So at first, when I first spoke to this artist, it's like, okay, this is different. I don't really get this much from other artists. I'm trying to remember the artist. How can I not remember the artist? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But I thought that was a different way of answering questions. He was really thoughtful in his answers, and his answers were great when they came out because he was taking the time to think about the question, you know?
Yeah, I can only imagine some of the interviews, like they're probably, you know, questions they've been asked before. So they turn it on, they have kind of canned responses, but then having someone be like, actually, and like in deep thought around an answer as you said.
Put the beep on. What did
Why
you
can't I think of this artist?
It's going to come after we're done.
It will.
Another thing I'd be curious about is, you know, for us, like we have little notepads and things that we write down our interview stuff on. Do you have a bunch of these still laying around, or do you have like a storage container? I know when for those who maybe haven't gotten a chance to watch the 299 Queen Street documentary, definitely get out to watching that, because it will allow you to understand a lot more of this archival footage and what was happening, but also to the point to know, like, do you have a lot of your past interviews or any of your interview preps, anything like that?
Before I answer that question, I am going to tell you and your viewers that I'm going to be meeting with Sean Menard, the director of 299 Queen Street West, tomorrow. We're going out for lunch. And there's been there's been a little bit of pushback on actually getting the doc out to the public. You guys were fortunate enough to see it, on the tour last fall. Many people haven't seen, most people haven't seen it because it was supposed to be on a streaming service, but there was a lot of pushback. I'm going to get the update tomorrow at lunch from Sean, the director.
We'll hear it here first, folks.
Well, and I'll email you back, and maybe you can share it with your viewers. But he's very optimistic that 299 Queen Street will be out there very soon on a streaming service. So most Canadians who grew up with Much can see the behind the scenes stuff. So that's it, to answer that question. The second part and your first question obviously was the notes and how I kept things all together. There was a VJ, well, one of the first ones, Christopher Ward. You two remember Christopher Ward. He came through that banner to launch MuchMusic back in August of 1984 with JD Roberts. So Christopher used to do a little thing where he would hold up the CD, and on the back of the CD was an index card with all his questions for the artist. So I sort of adopted that approach to interviews. So all my CDs that I'd be holding up with the artist there, well, you would see the cover art and you would know what to look for at the record store that night. But on the back would be my questions for reference. Of course, we had them in our heads and we knew what we were asking. We knew the sequence, but for reference, I had everything written out, and I had thousands, Kate and Charisse, of these CDs lying around. I think it's when I got married for the second time, my second wife said, well, we got to make room here, and we got to get rid of all these CDs. Like CDs, who's using CDs anymore? So I took all the index cards off, and so I got a stack of them somewhere in my basement of all these interviews I did, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But that's how I kept it all together. But as an interviewer, and you both know, you sort of have a game plan of where you want to go, what you want to ask. So it's got to come out, organically, naturally. But I had the questions just in case, you blacked out because it was live TV, and sometimes that happened. It's like, okay, where am I going now? Well, we'll just look down at the CD, and that's my next question type thing.
Oh, that's a great
smart.
That is smart.
Love that. We should do that with records, Kate. Like get vinyl.
We're taking this, Rick.
That's a good idea. And now that my eyes are really going on me in my mid-50s, having a record, the bigger font would be perfect.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There he's back.
My phone had an emergency. It got too hot, and it told me I've got to shut down.
You're
So
too hot to handle loud.
so sorry. That's
Well,
crazy. So
that's a first.
I
That's
moved
a
into
first.
I moved into a shady area here, keeping things shady for the rest of the broadcast.
Hey,
I
speaking.
apologize.
Oh, it's all good. It's all
Oh,
good.
Sharice, you were about to ask a question. You were in the middle of a question. I'm so
Nailed the
sorry.
question. And okay, yeah. But so basically, it's about your favorite interview. And I
Oh,
was saying that, it's like that's probably like asking you to choose your favorite child, and that's
yes.
cruel. So I'm gonna rephrase the question as what is
Yeah.
your favorite interview? Or if you can't choose one, what was one in particular that you were like really excited about? Like you're like, I
Ah,
got this, I can't believe it. Like
yeah. You know what, Sharice and Kate, I got excited for all of them. I really, I know it sounds that's not true. It can't be. I got excited for all the interviews, even I'm gonna say the smaller, lesser known indie artists. I was so excited to interview them. I just wanted to get the word out that this person is super talented. You should be buying their album. But if we're gonna break it down to like a top five or a top 10. Um, I'm an alt rock child. Like give me the grunge, give me
yeah,
the alt rock, give me those bands. I would do anything to see those shows and see those artists when they came to town. I would be the first in line to buy their new records, their new CDs, whatever it was. I think when the Chili Peppers came into the Much Music environment for the first time as a collective, as a group, you had Anthony and John and Chad and Flea, all four of them coming in. Because
right.
previous to that interview, I think that was for the By the Way album. That was around what 2002 in there. Prior to that, so Flea would come in with Anthony. Um, you know, Dave would come in with Anthony. It was never the whole group. So
Right.
to get the whole group in for that live at Much, I was on cloud nine. I was on cloud nine, and the Chili Peppers are one of my all-time favorite bands. So that was huge for me. I still remember, and I saw Nirvana back in the day in Buffalo for the In Utero tour. I was a student at Brock University in St. Catharines, and I told my buddies, listen, we got to go see Nirvana. They're coming. We're going. So I think. When I started on Much Music, the world had lost Kurt Cobain. Kurt was already gone, but Dave formed a new band, Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl came in, and I was like starstruck. I'm getting to interview Foo Fighters. Like it's unreal. I'm like the biggest fan, and now I get to hang out and chat with Dave Grohl and the guys in the Foo Fighters. So those are just two stories, but I really enjoyed interviewing all the artists that came in, whether it was a solo artist, whether it was a band, whether it was a pop act or a country act. I was so fortunate. I never took any interview or any minute live on Much Music for granted. I just so loved being there, and I know it's a corny answer, but hopefully I gave your viewers
Really?
a little bit of something for the answer. I love the little cues. You are now entering the studio. I love this.
Love that. You're
How does
back.
does
So
it
it
sound
leads
okay?
us, yeah, leads us to our next question. Had you ever had technical difficulties or interruptions or anything during your interviews? And how do you roll with it? Do you just go? You just roll with it?
Oh my gosh, Kate, you just roll with it. It
You just
happened
roll-
a lot. It was live television, right?
Yeah,
Just like you're doing this live podcast.
yeah,
You just roll with it. So
yeah.
if the video's not ready to go, well, you continue talking about whatever it is you're talking about, like you guys are pros at. But it happened more than people thought. Maybe behind the scenes it was an emergency, but if you're watching in Moncton, New Brunswick, or over wherever you were as a viewer, nothing's going on.
Didn't.
It all looks like it's supposed to happen this way. So you got to roll with it in this industry, and just never give in to either yourself making a mistake or saying the wrong thing. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Most of the time people don't notice.
They
I've
don't
no,
notice. They don't
no.
notice.
is when you notice the fuck up, or when you know right. If you start to notice it, they'll call you on it. So
Well, there maybe were a few occasions where I made it quite clear what was going on, because I think people like to see that too. They like seeing the mistakes being made. It makes it all real, right?
yeah,
Because no one's perfect. So
that's
there
why we
could
do
have.
everything in one take. It's better. Like we'd rather
Yeah.
it just go out so that people know like how to do this. And
Yeah.
that brings me to my next question. How
Yeah.
have you evolved your career since working at MuchMusic, being an entertainment host, being, a personality? How have you evolved your career, and what are you doing now for those that are watching?
Kate and Sharice, I've been so fortunate. I was going to be a teacher a long, long time ago. I was going to follow in the footsteps of my older siblings who are all teachers.
Mhm.
I was just going to become a teacher, and that's what I was preparing for. But winning this contest at Much Music back in 1994, it really opened up my eyes for me personally to see what's out there. And that combined with my love for music, I knew I needed to run with this career in the music business or entertainment world. I knew once I got my foot in the door, I was gonna love it, and I did love it. I continue to love it. When I got let go from ET Canada back in 2017, I thought it was all over. You don't know what to think when it was the first time ever that it had happened. It's like, we don't need your services anymore. It's like, it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. 11 years at Much, 12 years at ET Canada. That's 23 years, and entertaining and talking about pop culture, stuff. So when you're gone, it's like, oh my gosh. But it was a blessing in disguise for me, because I had two young boys at the time. Um, my older son Noah was a lot older, and he was with his mom already. So my wife Angie had two young boys. She had a full-time career in TV as well, on a CTV show. So it forced me into becoming, Mr. Mom. I was at home with the boys, changing the diapers, preparing the meals, getting the dinner ready for my wife when she got home from work. And we did that for a good 8 months. And it was the best job I've ever had in my life. Much and ET were pretty good, but being that dad, being that parent that was right there with your kids every minute of every day, I loved it. I loved it. And I wish I can go back, but the kids are growing like weeds now. They're almost taller than I am. So yeah, so I did that for a while, and I'm grateful that I got to do that. And then apparently someone said I have a face for radio now. So I started doing more radio. I did.
Me.
I did it.
Well, I think it's tough for a lot of people when they're changing careers, when they've given a lot to their industry, or they are someone that's somebody that's able to wear a lot of hats.
Right.
When I was laid off, it really, really wore me down. It made me feel
Yeah.
like maybe I wasn't good at what I thought I was doing, and maybe I was a fraud to be offering what it was I thought I was good at. And what what you have to remember is rely on those people that know you, that will advocate for you. Look at your connections, look at your ecosystem, and reach out. Let them know where
And reach
your
out.
leads. Let them know that you're interested, maybe in radio or in doing some hosting or in doing
Most definitely. Yeah. I wasn't reaching out a lot, Kate and Sharice. What I was doing was, it was around the same time that social media was really getting big, and brand partnerships and stuff like that was really starting to happen. So my agent just parlayed that into, I guess, a career on its own. Like, okay, let's get Rick to be the pitch man for this product. Only if Rick's into the product. So I started doing a lot of that stuff, which was a lot of fun too, creating content, for Instagram and Twitter, now X, obviously. But that was a new world, right? That was a new world back in like 2015, close to 10 years ago. So I really jumped on that too when I found the time to do that. And then with my first radio gig since being a freelancer was a morning radio show, and it really brought me back to my roots of doing live
Right.
music related content. So I just felt like I was back at it again. Okay, well, I'm in the mid 90s again. Let's do this. We're talking music. It's live. Um, that one came to an end because I couldn't get up early in the morning anymore. 3:30 in the morning was taking a toll on my body physically.
Yeah,
So I had to say goodbye to that one. But now currently I'm doing an afternoon drive home show in Toronto, which I love. The hours are great. My co-host is fantastic, and we're talking music, we're talking pop culture. It's a ton of fun.
Well, speaking of talking, we had a hello from Brian Byrne. He wanted to say hello to you and hope all is well.
Brian, yeah, hey Brian.
Yeah, we work with Brian now.
I'm Mother Earth, Brian.
Yeah. We do some work now with Brian, and he, knowing that we were doing this, he said, "Please tell Rick I said hello and to say hello for me and Tara." So.
That's so sweet. Please tell Brian I say. But I think I'm following him on Instagram. I'm gonna have to reach out to him now. But Brian, was such a beautiful soul, talented singer, artist, and I loved meeting people like that and keeping in touch with people like that. And you just brought back so many memories. Because I guess it was the second incarnation of I Mother Earth, because Edwin, of course, was the original singer, but then, of course, Brian helped out for years there.
We actually
great to hear that name.
We just helped them launch their new jiu-jitsu gym in Cape Breton.
That's amazing.
Nice. That's so cool.
Tell Brian I say hi for sure.
And they have a vegan cafe on the side of it, so they're doing lots of different things for mental health and physical health, which is really cool. But he reached out, wanted to say hello. So.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that message.
I know people are going to be like, we need a part 2 with Rick. So if we asked you for a part 2, would you be willing?
I'm actually saving something, Kate and Charisse, to tell you and your viewers, which will be done in part 2. I've got something going on right now, and personally, it's gonna be huge. It's basically my life, but I wanna share that with you guys one day when it's all confirmed.
We would love that.
We heard of you first.
always great to chat with you both. It was so nice meeting you last fall, and I can't wait for part 2.
Me too.
Likewise. Well, thank you so much, Rick. It's been an honor, and we'll chat again soon.
Sounds good. Okay, bye, Kate. Bye, Charisse. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on.
If you've enjoyed this, then you have to hit strangegrooves.com for more amazing content. To support this podcast and music community, go to patreon.com/strangegrooves. As always, keep it strange.